Words of wisdom. It's a joke, not a dick. Don't take it so hard. That's what life's all about, right? I mean, come on now. I mean, if you're going to take it by one or the other.
You got to relax. Frankie said relax.
Yep. If not, it just hurts.
Relax.
It goes with the quote of the day. Well, welcome, guys, back to the podcast. This is the Chef Cody Storts podcast. Sitting here yapping in the lounge, talking mad smack today. We're going to go into a little bit of different format. I have a good friend with me here, Mr. John Pantle.
What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Good, man, dude. It's always nice to see your smiling face this early in the morning, you know?
Oh, yeah. Usually I'm starting a little bit earlier, but yeah, this is the earliest I've ever been here. No, that's a lie.
Well,
I've been here for brunch a lot.
Yeah, brunch, and or if we happen to stay the night, which didn't happen here, but maybe the other place, right?
Yeah.
And then Tony, man, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing today, brother?
Doing okay.
What's up, brother?
Yeah.
Just getting shit done.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Getting shit done's a good quote for the day, I think. We were just talking about that, dude. It's a 6 a.m. morning rise and the grunt and getting everything rattling up. Everybody thinks my job starts at 5 when we open. Oh, dude.
No, it starts at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, right?
Starting to think about everything you need to do.
It was much easier when I just drank whiskey and forgot about it and didn't care. Now, it's a whole different world, man.
I love the idea of, there's a lot of times I love the idea of just having a brainless existence. Like, I've been doing yoga lately, and that and watching college baseball is some of the best things ever for me because it just allows me to just space out.
Right.
And it just turns my brain off.
Right. Well, John, and that's before we get too deep into it, I want everybody to know, like, John, you have one of the coolest careers on the planet. I mean, that I've heard of, and I always listen to people, and there's very few of us that fall into what we do because it just fucking works that way. Right.
Yeah,
I think, and then you become good at it and figure it out or whatever that, I mean, there's something embedded in you personally that made you happen for that, but you can't just go out and get some careers. It doesn't work that way. You can't go to school for it. You can't.
Correct.
Right.
It's impossible.
And even school of hard knocks, you have to make the hard knocks in order to get it, right?
Yeah.
So let's tell everybody a little bit about what you do, and then we'll backtrack from there, man.
Cool. All right. Well, I can tell you what I do right now.
Yeah.
I'm an agent. And I'm one of the first agents at Sound Talent Group. We're based in San Diego, and we're based in Philadelphia. It's a small group of agents who all left corporate, larger agencies for a number of reasons. We all kept our clients. We've got over 100 artists that we work with. And we got 4 Grammy nominations for our artists the first 2 weeks that we were working.
Yeah, that's big pimping, dude.
Yeah, so we've been working really, really hard, and it's been going really great. In the past, and it's been a long time, I've been a manager. I've been a musician. I'm still a musician. I've been an agent. I've been a vice president. I've run a department at a major corporation. I've been an independent promoter. I've booked venues as obscure as a coffee shop and as big as the Olympics. And I've lived to tell about it. And I live in Fullerton, and I spend a lot of my time in San Diego as well. And I'm very lucky to have a team of people who believe in me and who work with me, and my clients still work with me, and I create great situations for them, and it's been great. It's a lot of work, but I kind of wouldn't know what it's like to not work this hard. So it's kind of like a self-perpetuating torture chamber.
Yeah, I totally understand, man. You jump in full feet. And the big deal is that really nobody gets, like, I go to concerts or I go to shows or whatever it is. It doesn't matter if I go see a little show or big show. I never once react past like, oh, that was a good show. And never once does 2 bits of my brain go into, I mean, I know it takes a lot of work to get the stage or whatever, but what it actually takes to make that happen, to get that artist to there, or right. Who do you call if you want some big, like, that stuff is such foreign to me because I know nothing about it, right? I just figure they appear.
Right.
Like everybody else does, I'm sure. They show up on a lineup or whatever, and you go, cool, man.
Yeah, that happened. Great. But what am I going to go do now?
but you're pretty much the backbone of how, when, why, and where to get these guys so they're not either fucked or screwed or put in the wrong place or with the wrong people. And tell me if I'm wrong, right? But this is just from our conversation.
No,
without you, these guys are pretty much just floating in never land.
I work with the artists and the managers and the record labels and the PR people, and together we put together strategies on how we dominate the world. And it's my responsibility to handle or to oversee and to mitigate any potential issues that occur during their live performances. And it could be as small as a pop-up show where we're doing 100 people, or it could be as big as Coachella, or it could be a residency at a casino for a number of weeks. It all varies. And the best part about the job is that you're always creating a new formula. But it's very much like what you do. It's like every dish that you make is different, but it has to compartmentalize within the norm of the restaurant. You have to put a price on it. You have to figure out how to plate it. You have to figure out how much time it takes. You have to figure out the procedure and how to put it together. So if you're not here, somebody else can put it together. You have to create a system, and you have to be able to build out the ingredients, make sure your staff knows about it, make sure everybody's educated. So we kind of do the same thing, but in a live experiential scenario.
Right, which is completely unhinged most of the time, right? I mean, you can only control, right? I mean, if it rains, that's a whole fucking big deal. Or if it, I use that as a metaphor because we're doing with like California flash flood just means it's sprinkled for a couple of days, but but that sort of thing kind of can wreck a whole package. You know, this stuff you can't think about.
Right, you have to be very careful about how you tour, when you tour, how you route it, what the weather's going to be like. If you're going to be able to get enough people to go in a weekday versus a weekend, what ticket price you want to do. Do you want to do an early bird ticket? What's your high ticket? What's your VIP ticket? Is your market going to be able to afford it? It really is. There's so many variables in regards to it. And it's really hard to explain the whole thing. So it goes through by steps, but it's fascinating. And
it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And you're not even talking really right now about personalities. I mean, you're dealing with type A on all sides. I mean, everybody in this business, like what I think in restaurants especially, we try to get the most forward, outgoing people that we can to put on the floor. And with that becomes people who have ideas and they want to be expressed and they want to see things in their own way.
Right.
And each one of those are moldable. They're little clays, and you've got to make sure that, yes, they see the overall goal, but each one of them you have to treat differently.
Every client's different.
Yeah.
What motivates Public Enemy is going to be different than what motivates Run DMC. It's going to be different than what motivates Natalia Lafourcade. It's going to be different than what motivates World of Dance Live. Everybody has a different strategy on what they want to do. They have different goals. They have different directions. And so my job is to help put together their ideas, bring them to life. If it can work, we create it. If it can't work, we figure out how we can make it work, or what the genesis is behind the idea of why they want that particular thing to work, and just build forward. It's a job that requires an immense amount of mental awareness, of thinking about what they want to do, reading about what the markets are, about currency fluctuations, about political fluctuations. I've never read more and analyzed more information, but way more than I ever did in college. Way more.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You were just studying history in college. I mean, basically, you're looking at things and analyzing things that already exist.
Right.
I mean, what you're doing is creating things that are existing now, and then you have to project them to exist in a certain way.
Right.
Way more intriguing.
Way different.
That is
way different.
That is way more. That takes way more brain power than it did to learn about how some government screwed up something. And
who
cares, right?
And then if you plug in what the norm is for communication nowadays, if you include so many managers that have WhatsApp or Facebook or texting, and the need to be able to work pretty much every day, to at least have an idea of what everyone's doing every day, to check in on everyone every day, to go through your emails and clean the email boxes out every day. It's just something that you have to do. And what it forces you to do is to really believe in your craft. You have to be 100% towards what you want to do. Like, I don't even think of what I do anymore as an occupation. I just think of it as, this is what I do. This is who I am.
Well, it's crazy. I just had this, I was talking with some friends the other day about creating things. And I've realized after 34 concepts and 34 different things and trying to evolve and do other things, I have this pattern that I go in balls out. Yeah, we can do it. We figured it all out. Everything's on paper and looks nice. And as the punches come and you start creating things, I find myself in this kind of like self-doubt for a minute. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Is it going to, and then you're trying things. And for me, I'm never good enough no matter what, right? I try something, I go, everybody's like, that's great. You're like, we're going to make that shit better, right? And so I think it's the same thing with what you got going on, right? I mean, I find myself in these traps. And then in the end, you prevail because your confidence is there. And what you're doing is trying to be better than yourself and create something all the time. And that's what drives me to make new restaurants and new food and new whatever, is that I look at my old food and go, that was cool. Now it's done. Just like clients want to grow. I'm assuming that artists are looking at you to go, look, man, we played this. How do we grow into this? Or how do we do it? They're not trying to stay stagnant.
Yeah, nobody ever says, I'm interested in taking less money and worse shows.
Right.
No one ever.
That's what I mean.
No one ever does that. I wake up most mornings with a very light amount of panic. I wake up and I'm driven.
Right.
And I'm focusing on what needs to get done and what needs to happen and how I need to create a better scenario for my artists and then in turn for myself. And I spend a lot of time every night putting together lists and figuring out, the first 20 calls I'm going to make and the first people that I need to contact and making sure that I can tie in as many loose ends as I can. But I have clients who are in other countries. I have clients who are in Japan. I have clients who are in Korea. And their days end when my day begins. So when I start up, I need to address exactly what they want to do, exactly where their thoughts are, and then I get into it. I get into what I do. I used to feel that this tension that I would have was some sort of like poison. I used to feel that it was a drawback. Why do I feel like this? But the reason that I do feel like this is because I'm driven. I love what I do.
But it doesn't start that way.
No,
right?
No.
I mean, so that's where you're at now, which is freaking epic, man. That means that you've settled.
Right.
That means that you put your ass in the seat and you settle down a little bit, because that's what happens once you go, okay, cool.
Right.
Now it's not. It's like, I know there's a million things to do, but we got it, right? That's the growing up phase, I think. But in the beginning, I wasn't like that. I was shooting darts and freaking, what do I do?
No, in the
18-hour days.
Yeah.
Like, so where did that start from you, man? I want to talk a little about like the beginning of like when you realized you love the chaos. Like there was a point where I was doing Coachellas and catering.
Look how happy I am when I'm thinking about time periods where there was like a finite end to what I was creating at the time.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? So I went through those phases where I would just jump in and you knew you were fucked. Like there was no like what we're doing now is creating the fact that I know I'm screwed all day today, all week, all month, and we're fine with it. And it took me a couple being screwed for a long period of time.
Right.
So for me, that was in catering. But for you, where did that start at, man? Like looking back at those.
Well, I can go through the first time that I had like the trepidation, and I'll go through the first time that I started in the business, and then I'll go through first time where like something great happened, and then I go, oh man, and then and it's all kind of one thing, but we'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Anaheim, and I played in bands locally. I played in ska bands, and I was good friends with a lot of people in a band called The Mob. And my best friend T-Bone, he played in Hepcat, and he played on their first single. And so I was used to being with bands. It was just something that I loved to do. And both of us got jobs working in Anaheim, working at hotels. I got a job working at the Quality Hotel, and he got a job working at the Marriott, and we had other friends that worked at the Marriott, and a bunch of us were just all friends, and we're also playing in bands together. So the Rodney King thing happens, and it changes the entire face of Southern California for a good 2 years. The tourism business in Anaheim flatlined because
everybody stopped coming.
Everybody stopped coming. Nobody wanted to have their conventions here. All of the Job's Daughters conventions and all of the commemorative stamp conventions left. All of these people left the buildings, and then all of these venues, all these hotel ballrooms were empty. They were empty on weekends, and these hotels didn't know what to do because they made a tremendous amount of money, not just on renting out the ballrooms, but on the food and beverages. Right, because when you put an event there,
oh man,
yeah, those people are hostages. They make like twice as much money on the food and the booze than they do.
Yeah, we all know how much a beer costs at a concert, right? Like, come on, guys, that's a Bud Light.
Right, exactly.
$9.
So, also at the time,
a hell of a nice pretzel.
Yeah. So at the time, Orange County was also very politically conservative.
Right.
And there was almost nowhere to do concerts. So I started putting two and two together, and I realized there's these empty hotel ballrooms that all have licenses to do concerts. So why don't I use my connections in the hotel and start renting out these hotel ballrooms?
Everybody wins.
Right. Everybody wins. So I went and went to the GM and I said, hey, can I throw a party in here on a Saturday? This place is empty. You got nothing going on in here. You can keep the food. You can keep the booze. I'll pay for the rent. I'll bring in the sound system and I'll just put on a concert. So I did it. I bought a band called Firehose. It used to be the Minutemen. And it was their second band. I loved them. They were my favorite band. And I paid a lot of money for them. And I put together a concert. And they sent me over the rider, and I did everything in the rider that I needed to do, the sound and the lights and everything. The show sold out. It was great, and I lost about $1,100 because I didn't know that, you don't need to get everything on the rider. You could just tell them what the venue is and cut back the sound and lights, and they'll agree to it if they see that it's crazy. So the first time I lost money. So then I put together another show like the next month, and I go, okay, don't lose money.
Right. There's a goal here.
I figured it out. So I'm starting to get parameters. Okay, first off, make sure that we've got good security in the front so people can't just like take the stamps and go out. Second, don't get the whole rider. Just negotiate the rider. So I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to figure it out. The second show I do, it does great. I had my band play and about 3 other ska bands play. Real Big Fish played. I was friends with them. I worked with them when I was much younger. So we put it together. It was great. And I made $1,400. And I was so happy. I went out and I bought groceries for about a month. And I bought a Super Nintendo. I bought a Super Nintendo and I bought 3 games. I bought Madden and I bought Sim City and I bought like some other games. And I loved it. I was so happy. I'm like, I won. I figured out how to do this. It's great. And then you just start doing more shows. You start going, okay, I know how to do this. So then bring more of this, less of that, more of this, less of that. So I start going into bigger hotel ballrooms. I grew up with some of the guys in No Doubt. Right. And I put together the biggest show that they'd ever done at the time, which was like 1,500 people in Anaheim in another hotel ballroom. And I figured out how to do that, and that made money. But then I lost money because I didn't know I was supposed to put a barricade up, and the stage got pushed against the back wall, and I had to pay $5,000 in fees to the hotel because I unhinged one of their back walls. But I still made $1,000, so I was like happy, and I won. So
learning.
I just started learning, and I just started learning from making mistakes and from winning. And then I got a job at a place called House of Blues.
That little spot.
Yeah, it was just starting out, and a good friend of mine got me in the door there to be an assistant at first. And the money was commensurate of somebody who just come in and didn't really know what they were doing. But because there was nobody else doing shows in Orange County because it was such a politically conservative area that there weren't as many concert venues as there is now, I was the one-eyed guy in the land of the blind.
Right.
So
with all these artists here, too, I mean, this is like the land where kind of punk came out of, no? I mean, the Orange County punk scene and soccer team started right here.
Yeah.
In Orange County and Fullerton. I don't know how many people live right up the street that I see all the time. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, the Adolescents over there, and Social Distortion over there. And, the guy from the Misfits over there, or not the Misfits, but the Addicts. So there's a lot of bands. Right.
The drummer for Green Day lives over here, right? I mean, dude, I see them all over. So, and nobody knows that. We're like a sleepy little town. But I mean, you were at the right place at the right time, especially during that area when everybody was in their prime.
Yeah. So it worked out. I got a job as the assistant at House of Blues, Los Angeles. And at the same time, because the money was so low, they were like, look, you can just keep doing your stuff in Orange County. Because there wasn't really an internet then. Right. There was no way for people in Los Angeles to put 2 and 2 together and go, wait a minute, he's the guy running all the nightclubs in Orange County. So I was very, very fortunate at that time. I utilized the LA office to learn everything I could about the business. I stayed as late as I could. I was there as long as I could be, and I utilized that place as a step-off point for everything that I wanted to do in the business. I realized that coming in and being young and getting paid very, very little was actually an advantage. That at that point, I didn't really need the money as much as I needed to get the experience. So the company realized that, and I went from being an assistant to being a junior talent buyer. Then I went from that to being a talent buyer. Then I went from that to being a talent buyer in Anaheim as well. And I worked on a team, and then I worked on a team with the House of Blues Las Vegas. So we're booking 3 venues. And then I started running a division of the company along with my old boss, Kevin Morrow. We put together the House of Blues Club Network, which his job was to expand the strategy of House of Blues into other markets, expand into other venues in Los Angeles and Carolina and all different places. What our idea was to do was to create more venues for the shows that we did, to be an outside promoter, and to build other concerts not only in California but in other cities. So
and did that? I mean, so you went from a non-corporate House of Blues, right, to a corporate House of Blues?
Oh, yeah. When House of Blues first started, it was very, very non-corporate.
Right. It was, the whole point was to be in your face, right? I mean, it was to be like doing the shows that nobody else would do, doing the venues nobody else would do, have the full bars where everybody else was serving crap booze.
Right.
And they had a little more whatever. Right. And it was in and out, standing room with the dinner. But like really, I mean, that place is epic up there that opens up. And now I think it's gone, right?
Right. The idea was to create a boutique blues joint, which had some of the best alcohol, some of the best food, some of the best merchandise, some of the best bands, but at the same time, keep a really gritty feel of it. They had some actual signage and some actual material from the crossroads where the famous crossroads in blues music in Mississippi, where the devil supposedly met. I believe it was Robert Johnson. And the goal was to keep it funky. The ticket prices were higher because we wanted to create a better atmosphere and a better scenario, but there were also shows where the ticket prices were close to nothing. I remember we had Prince play on a Monday night that was unannounced and was a $10 ticket, and my band opened up for him. How epic is that, right? Yeah, so I got to open up for Prince.
I think Prince is the man, dude. It was amazing. Of all the artists out there and stuff like that, that dude has a story that's great. His biography, if you haven't seen it, or autobiography, whatever, is awesome, man. He lives in Prince world, right? I mean, I can only imagine that, you know, at whatever age he picked up the guitar and was amazing, everybody kind of just went, yep.
Yeah.
Right? And then he came into the symbol known as.
I think you have to. I think it's if you're a driven person, it's your responsibility to create an atmosphere that works within your life goals and works within what you want to do. Like what you were talking about earlier, every heavyweight boxer gets knocked down. Everybody gets knocked down.
That's how you learn to block.
Right. Every morning I wake up, I open up my laptop. There's some great things that happen. There's some tough things that happen. And what makes me relevant to my clients is realizing where there's problems and figuring out solutions around them. Sometimes, you know, you're going to have terrible things happen, but people look to you to be able to turn lemons into lemonade.
Right.
And the amount of effort it takes, the amount of intestinal fortitude that it takes you, and it takes anybody to like get up and move every day. It can be a tremendous challenge, but it's just, if you're driven, that's how it goes. I
agree, man. And we're gonna come back because I'm real interested, because what you're talking about now is being real driven and going into the corporate world, which you're no longer at anymore, which you talked about where you're not in that. So that's intriguing to me, is how that phase happens. So we're gonna take a break, man. I want to hear about it when we come back. Thanks, guys. Peace.